Hey, it's Ed here. Welcome to our inaugural episode of Executive Life, Career and Family Practical Hacks. And with us, we have a friend of mine, Brittany Jones. Brittany, welcome and thank you for being our first guest on Practical Hacks.
Thank you so much for having me, Ed. This is exciting.
Yeah, I couldn't think of a better person because I know you do a pretty good job of balancing both family and career. And so I wanted to get your take on it. So first, tell us about your family. Like, what is your family?
Yeah, so my husband and I, Dallas, we've been married for almost 15 years now, and we have three beautiful children. Merrick, who just turned 11, Sage, who's about to be 7, and Eliana, who's 2.5. We also have a Brazilian au pair that lives with us, Rafaela. So that's kind of our family makeup. A couple of dogs in the mix, an attempted version of getting a cat in our house. So we have a pretty rambunctious house, but for me, they're a joy for me. I love all of them so much. So
Yeah, that's really cool. So tell us conversely about the professional side. Like, what do you do for work?
So I run sales. I'm the vice president of sales at Gozio Health. So when you think of kind of growth, that kind of falls under my responsibility. We're not a startup, but we're also not an IBM. So, smaller stage company, really just trying to make a difference in healthcare IT and engaging patients on mobile.
Cool. What is the one hardest thing balancing or integrating both worlds, the professional side and the family side?
That is a good question, and it's one that I honestly struggle with often. So for me, I didn't know if I was ever going to become a parent. My husband and I really struggled with fertility issues, and for a while, I didn't think it was ever going to be possible. But thank goodness, modern medicine allowed me to have three beautiful children. But I would say the hardest part of having, a career that I absolutely love, I would never want to do anything different, and also being a mother is having to balance it and sometimes having to miss out on those important experiences. As a mom of three kids, there's always some game, some recital, something, parent teacher conferences. And in reality, sometimes you just have to miss it. As part of this role, travel's part of it. For a while, I didn't travel much. COVID allowed me to stay home for a lot of it, but we're back to traveling and conferences and going on site to hospitals. So that's the hardest part for me, is just knowing that I may have to miss those as much as I try to avoid it with scheduling. It's just kind of part of the job.
Yeah. Well, share two or three hacks that you use to help you navigate that conundrum.
Planning well in advance. So, I'm actually planning out our entire team's fall conference season right now. I mean, yes, it's only July 2nd, but the more I plan out in advance, looking at their school schedules, figuring out when they have long weekends, I can at least ensure that I balance this appropriately and be involved in as much as I can while still obviously traveling for my job. And I do that with our team. So, they all have families as well too. Some are older, some are younger. And that's the first thing I ask them. Are there days that don't work for you as we kind of work through our trade show season? Because we're going to 20 different events this fall. So it's a
Wow.
lot of balancing. So that's definitely, I would say, hack number one. The second hack for me that works out really well, since I do have young kids, is every once in a while I bring something back. It's usually tied to a bigger conference. As anybody that's been to some of these big conferences, there's all kinds of stuff designed to get you to stop at a booth and talk to them. So when I'm walking around the conference hall, I'll usually look for random things that I know my kids will like. I brought a cookie back one time. I think it was from Luma Health. I brought a screaming monkey back from Hyro. So some of these vendors come up with some really unique things that my kids really like. So again, it makes it special. And now it's a joke whenever I leave. They're like, are you going to the type of travel that gets us something back? Because again, it's a conference. I'm like, I can find some candy or a cookie or something fun to bring them back. So that's the other piece. And I would say the third is is leveraging modern technology, not just in the planning purposes of ensuring that I have a shared calendar, because my husband also travels for work too. So I have that unique piece to balance. But FaceTime, both my two older kids can text. So they send me pictures or video notes, and I do the same. Because the other challenge is sometimes if I'm on the East Coast and it's in the middle of the school season, it's almost impossible because they're not awake when I'm leaving for work, and then I'm usually going to dinner when they're coming home from school. So yeah, modern technology is a godsend to me because it allows me to stay connected to them and make them feel like even though I may be across the country, I'm still close to them.
Yeah, those are great hacks. What's one word of advice or something you wish someone would have said to you before you had your family that maybe would have helped? So if there's someone listening, they're thinking about having a family, what's one thing that you might want them to know now?
I would say follow your gut and don't compare yourself.
Mm.
I became a mother at 28, and I felt like I compared myself a lot to everybody else. And everybody's journey in motherhood is different. Everybody's career aspirations are different. And comparing yourself will only give you heartache. So that's the one thing that I really don't even do now. Like, my journey is my journey. And what I want to do with my career and life and family is our little kind of ecosystem. And I don't compare myself. But that's the biggest piece I could give to anybody becoming a mother for the first time, or a father, or thinking about it. Everyone has their own journey, and we just need to embrace that.
I love it. That's awesome. Hey, let's end with this. What's one word of encouragement you would give for anyone listening that's struggling? So they've got the family going and got the work going and things aren't working out so well and they're struggling a bit. What's one word of encouragement?
Pause. And I think I need to elaborate. Sometimes sometimes you just need to take a pause, take a step back, take a breath, go on a walk. Because when I get stressed and it's a busy time, that's the best thing for me. Work. If you need to take an afternoon, take an afternoon and go do something that makes you happy, that gets your mind right. So pause.
That's great. Brittany, thank you so much for being vulnerable, for being authentic and sharing a bit about yourself. And again, for being the first guest on Exec Life Practical Hacks.